Why hello everyone, Spencer here, also known as LEGO Dude 11, and in today's video, this is a brand new TV show review for you at the channel, and today is my The Last of Us TV show review for you. So without further ado, let's discuss. Okay, so first and foremost, as I mentioned, this is my Last of Us full season. This is my full season spoiler review for all 9 episodes of this show. I'm doing this note list here, no notes in my hands, but before we get to that, I have a bit of housekeeping, and this is the video game. This is the remastered version of the video game that I actually have never played. I have only seen the cutscenes on YouTube before this show came out, and I mean, this show is remarkable. It's the best video game, right? First and foremost, it's the best video game adaptation to TV translation, and this is the 200 Game of the Year awards. I mean, this got a great awards. It's won awards. And then when the show came out, I was really excited because I haven't played the game, but now after watching the show, I definitely need to go play this game. Because this show's amazing. I think more people, like my friends, need to watch this. They need to get on HBO Max. I'm just telling them, need to subscribe to HBO Max. It's like it's the best streaming service ever. I could make a whole rant video about streaming services, about what my favorite streaming services and all that, but that's another video for another time. I'm here to talk about The Last of Us. So, like I said, I'm doing this note list today because I wanted to experiment. I like experimenting with things. Take that with what you will. But, I didn't write any notes here because I just have my Roku remote and I'm just going to scroll through the episodes and just kind of go through, not scene by scene. I'm not going to do like a breakthrough because that's not what I do here, but I'm going to go through episode by episode and just share with you my general thoughts on them and about the whole show in itself, which is what I like to do about movies and shows. But in particular, I've been on a, when I make my notes, I just typically do scene by scene. But here I'm not doing that. I just kind of want to talk about my general thoughts and how I feel, because this show is beautiful. It's beautiful. And the first episode, when it came out 9 weeks ago, I can't believe this was been 9 weeks ago, almost 10 weeks ago. It was 9 weeks ago, and this video is being made the same week that the finale came out. This video is being uploaded the same week. So I normally put them a week out, but I waited a little bit earlier. I put this out on a Friday because I thought, because I'm seeing a movie earlier than anticipated. So I'll get on that later, a little bit later. But so the first episode comes out, and the first episode and the third episode are almost like a feature-length film. They're like an hour and 15 minutes. The first one was an hour and 20, and then the second one was an hour and 15. And the first one, called When You're Lost in the Darkness, all of the episodes I think have like a title, all have some significance. Like you hear the title or see the title in the name of the episode, if I'm not mistaken. But the first one is so, I mean, all the episodes are so well done, but like I knew some of the stuff that happened in the first episode, and not all the episodes I knew what happened, but there was some stuff like, okay, I remember that, seeing that on YouTube and this and that. So the first episode, when it opens, by the way, there's spoiler review, so if you don't want to know anything, get out now. The first like 15 to 20 minutes with his daughter Joel, or when Joel's with his daughter Sarah, that whole moment, I had no idea what happened, and I was like, okay, because I knew about Ellie, right? And then I'm like, I had no idea that his daughter died. But I knew something happened, but I thought he still had his daughter later in the show, and I'm like, really? That's it? That girl's only in there for 20 minutes? I'm like, okay. And then we get to introduced to Ellie. But that whole first like 20 minutes is not forgotten, because it's used all throughout the show, not just in the first episode, it's used throughout the whole show, which in the game, which is significant to the game, but I never knew, and it's used so well. The story is amazing. And then when you see again the first 20 minutes with his daughter, and then there's something else. You get introduced to the post-pandemic world, and then you get introduced to Ellie and Marlene and the dynamic between these characters, and it's so beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful in this first interaction, and then you learn a little bit more about Marlene later in the season, which is just, the character is amazing. But then when you're introduced to Ellie and then Joel's taken on this mission, those characters, you see something about them that because they haven't really connected yet, but you kind of see the two of them and how they're both kind of surviving, and they move along in this world, and you think, okay, this could be interesting. This can be an interesting pairing together. And then you move into the second episode where it continues after Joel makes a sacrifice for Ellie because they see that she's infected. Well, they don't see that she's infected. That there's a soldier that's gonna start shooting, and he just violently attacks because he has this memory of his daughter being killed, and he doesn't want this girl to get killed. So he protects her, and they move along. And the second episode, they notice that she's infected. Well, from the end of the first episode, which is a great ending cliffhanger. And the second episode is just more of this journey, the first episode of this journey to get her to the hospital. And what I find really interesting is that when Tess dies, because I'm just saying this right now, when Tess dies, I'm like, what if she hadn't died? What if they got her to the hospital? What if she still made it to the hospital at the end? That would have been really interesting to know, but yeah, I mean, she didn't. So there's that, and I'm in awe with this episode here because it really shows us how, the name of the episode is Infected. It really shows us, I think, the core of the Infected. We get that great moment with the clickers themselves. I think, you know what I'm loving? I just said this. I love this episode because it's called Infected, but I'm really enthralled like how each of the episodes. There's other episodes with Infected and clickers, but this is the one with maybe the most. Like you see them. There's another episode with big infected moments. There is, but this one deals with them up close, like shooting, trying to stay behind. You hear them, like they say, they can hear really well, so quiet. You see that intense moment. It's super good. It's so well done. It's really tense, and I love it. But moving along, I don't know where to move along to. But at the end of this episode, more specifically, you see when all the infected, when they're crawling, I guess when they're like walking back into another building, in this environment, there's a certain area, like they're stuck in water, and then they climb over these vines, and then a whole bunch of infected come swarming in, and they run away, or I forget. Oh, when Tess says that she's infected, she got bit. She's like, go with Ellie, go now, and she starts to kill herself with a lighter, and then all the infected come in, and she gets kissed. She gets kissed by one, like on the mouth, and it starts doing the stuff to her. It's very creepy. It's very weird. It's a really infected kiss, and it's a great scene. But yeah, that's how she dies. And her last moment of life, it's beautiful and weird at the same time. I don't know how they did it, but they did. And then the third episode again is 1:15 minutes long, 1 hour and 15 minutes, and it's this beautiful story of friendship and marriage, and of how this guy Ron Swanson, played by Nick Offerman, along with Frank, Bill and Frank in this episode, and it's this journey of the characters who are in the game, but I've never heard of them. But it takes a backstory on their characters that knew Joel and Tess, and it's this beautiful journey because they get married, they love each other throughout this whole episode. But Nick Offerman's character, Bill, I think it was, and then Bill, who's Nick Offerman, had lived in this environment, protecting himself, surviving away from all the infected and all the danger out there. When he has these booby traps out there to survive, protect himself from the infected, and then some lonely dude or some dude rando comes in, like in this hole in the ground tube out of nowhere, like a Mario tube it looked like, and he's like, I'm Frank, and I'm very hungry. I'm lonely. I need something. I'm trying to get this other place. And he's like, listen, this is not an Arby's. I love the joke, by the way. But everybody will come looking here for a free lunch. But he comes in for a meal. He showers. He gets himself clean, and they then they're in love. Like then they meet. They have like a meet cute or a little connection, and then this whole episode just goes into the journey about their life and how they know Joel and Tess. And at the end of the episode, you see Joel and Ellie get Bill's truck and just go on from there. And it's a beautiful episode. Some people have controversy because of the couple, but I mean, they are gay in the game. So I have no issue with it. I have no issues with that agenda. It's just a beautiful story, and that ties to the game and plays a really important, significant role to the episode itself. It's something in one episode ties to the other characters specifically. So I love that episode. Moving to the fourth episode, which is actually episode 4 and 5 parallel or tie together because they're kind of like 4 and 5 are kind of like a two-parter episode. And the episode 4 is like the one where you really start to see Joel and Ellie, the team up, like the bond connection, and it's amazing. I love it. And 4, you see Ellie try to protect Joel when Joel is in a time of need, and is in a little bit of sort of a pickle, if you will. And she shoots this guy when there's a great action sequence with no clickers. It's just random people. These I guess hunters or I guess marauders. I guess the right word to use that would be people or invaders. I mean, and they start shooting. There's not Fedra, but these people, and then Ellie shoots the guy that's hurting Joel, and then you go on this journey and you learn more about this woman who is looking for her brother Henry or her friend Henry, and then you see Henry and Sam later. You meet them at the end of the episode when they're when Joel and Ellie are finally sleeping in the building. And you're met with these characters who are trying to survive from the infected, who are two brothers, and who are in the game. But Sam in the show is made deaf. He's a real deaf kid, and it's so great. It's so well done what they brought in here because they taught the kid. Everybody learned ASL, learned sign language, and not everybody, but Ellie and the other brother, Henry, learned sign language, and Joel was like, that's great that you can learn that. Like, he didn't know it quite as much, but because they had to interact with the scenes. So going through this episode when they're having the little flippy paper thing, I had never seen that before in my life. I'm like, what is that? And they flipped the paper and like wrote stuff on it, and it was a beautiful moment with Sam and Ellie connecting at the end, and then unfortunately he got bit, and then the next day he was infected, and those two episodes, in my opinion, were great side by side. And then you saw in the Endure and Survive episode, which is where he got bit, with the big swarm of infected, and the big bloater comes in. That was one of my favorite moments of the show because, number one, it was an action sequence, and number two, it just showed what underneath all that rubble, or what underneath the land, like in the terraria, in the terranium, whatever you call it, the land underground. There was a bunch of infected living, and it was a like chilling scene to just see all of them coming out of the ground. So I love those two episodes. I have to say, I might do a ranking or something of some sort. I don't know how I'd rank these episodes. It's probably irrelevant for me to rank the episodes, but just some are better than others. Like these two parallel, these two go together really nicely hand in hand. And the end of the episode actually was the one where I go, no! When you see Joel kill, or when you see Henry kill Sam because he's infected the next day, and he's getting at Ellie, like he's crawling at Ellie, and you just see Sam go, Henry go, what did I do? And then he kills himself. I yelled at my TV, no, because I had no idea what was going, or I didn't know what was going to happen. Even though I had seen some from the game, I forgot some of it. I'm like, oh my god, no. So that was intense. And then we continue our journey in episode 6 to Kin, name of the episode, and this is where we finally see Tommy again, where this is part of the journey. They're trying to find Tommy, and they found Tommy, the brother from the first episode when they're driving in the truck. The truck scene, by the way, in the first episode was a great moment as well. And you see them conversing together, and like this, and they have this big they kind of bicker with each other throughout this episode. Ellie kind of lives throughout this community a little bit, and which she kind of enjoys but wants to be with Joel. And then she hears this conversation with Tommy and Joel and has this argument with Joel about, you don't know what it's like to lose people, and he's like, no, I do. Like they're kind of arguing about loss, and it's really heartwarming because you know that Joel has lost Ellie or Sarah, I mean, and Ellie, you don't know what Ellie has lost yet. But then in the next when Joel says, just stay here with Tom, just go with Tommy, and they go to the horses, and they're like. And Joel says, you can come, I'm going to give you another option. And she says, I'm going to go with you, Joel. At the end of this episode, it's really emotional because then they start back on their journey, and he gets injured by these random people. And then next episode, when you see her try to help Joel, there's this flashback scene to when you get introduced to the bond of the friendship and the relationship of this girl that Ellie is in love with, and that she dies, that she loses at the end. It's really impactful. It's really emotional. That kind of goes back to that conversation that Joel had with Ellie, and it just makes it even more impactful. And I love this episode, Lost Behind, that's after Kin, which is the conversation, which is the friendship episode, the flashback. I love it because it's probably not my favorite episode of the season, but I love the acting between Ellie and the other girl named Riley in the episode, who is played by Storm Reed, who was in a movie recently that came out in January called Missing, which is a sequel to Searching, and Storm Reed is also in the Suicide Squad movie, not the bad one, the James Gunn version, who is the daughter of Bloodsport, which I really find, she's a great actress, and I love seeing her in this show specifically, because that bond of Ellie and Riley was amazing. So I just like this episode for that. It's probably not my favorite of the season, but a really good one. All of them are great. So I love seeing that. The infected, the whole bond of them throughout the mall, the different 4 wonders, or technically 5 wonders of the mall, and then the whole infected moment, and then they kind of had a little argument about, no, please don't leave. I gotta leave and go be part of the Fireflies. When Riley says that, she's like, fine, just go leave. I don't want you to do that, but just go leave. And then she's like, no, wait, I can't leave Riley. She goes back, and they have a little dance moment and a little kiss. So beautiful. I love that moment. And then they see that the clicker comes out and starts trying to get at him. Great little action moment there at the end. And then you see that they're both infected. But how long ago was Ellie infected? Because we're going to get in that in a moment. And it was a beautiful moment of how a little speech Riley gave too. If you want to watch it, go watch it. I'm not going to quote the entire thing. The penultimate episode, When We Are in Need, was a great villainous episode. I have to say so myself. When We Are in Need deals with the guy David, the preacher, or from teacher to preacher. I like that joke a lot. By the way, the joke book, you can buy it on Amazon that Ellie makes. The puns are amazing, by the way. But in the game, I watched this cutscene in the game of David, and he's so villainous. His thoughts, his motivations might be true. Like, you might think of him like Thanos a little bit, but what he does is really bad. Guys, just a heads up, please don't be cannibals. Please don't be cannibals in real life. It's not good. So yeah, there's that for you. And I don't know what to say. At first, when we meet him, he seems like a nice guy, and then we see in this episode the actor that played Joel, Troy Baker. So along with David, the guy that they get David, and he has this little community because Ellie is still trying to take care of Joel. So we see her interact with this community, or see her go to this community, and she's like, no, I don't want to be a part of this, even though there's another community with Tommy for some reason. I don't know what the reason was. She didn't want him part of it because of the conflict. And he tells her that the guy that when Joel got stabbed, that the people that attacked him were part of this community, and that's how the guy died. And now he wants revenge. David wants to get revenge on Joel. It's really crazy, the whole twist there. I didn't see it coming. And there's that, and then we go through this episode of her getting medicine from David, and then she's kidnapped because she goes out and tries to kill all these people. And Joel finally wakes up, is revived from the medicine, and comes just is stabbing, like, I'm losing words at this point because of how amazing it is. Just starts grueling killing everybody, and he doesn't find Ellie. Ellie just is captured and has this talk with David about, finds out everything he's doing, being a cannibal, and breaks off his finger, and then tells them she's infected, and has this whole fight in this burning building. She bursts into flames, and then just destroys her with the butcher knife. Destroys him. I've said David with a butcher knife, and then this episode took it up a notch and showed the monster side of Ellie. And then finally, Joel does not come to save her. She walks out of the building, and she is reunited with Joel. And we're on to the finale here. I mean, that was just a great episode. And then we get introduced into the finale and see how Ellie is born from the actress that voiced Ellie in the game, which is really awesome. Really great to see there. And the name of the episode is Look for the Light. And like I said, we see how Ellie's born. And we see the relationship or the connection between Marlene and Ellie's mom, that they've known each other for a while. So that history of Marlene dates back a long time, and we're still getting used. We see more history of Marlene, and it's quite interesting. And then once we see Joel and Ellie continue on their journey, embark just a little bit more on their journey, we get some information about why Joel has the scar on his head, that he actually tried to shoot himself shortly after Sarah died, and he missed while he was in the camps or whatever, or in the Fedra camps, whatever he was. And then they shared a little bit more puns to each other after that conversation. They say that's why they're connected. We see them go up a building and look at this world area of giraffes and everything. Little beautiful moment. Have these conversations, see this little world environment, and shortly after they are captured yet again, and you see the eyes open, and Joel's in the hospital. And I knew this entire moment. I actually knew how this game ended. For some odd reason, I watched a video on YouTube of how the game ended, and you see Joel talking to Marlene, which is it's quite villainous. It's quite I'm trying to think of another word for villainous. I don't know. It's a turnaround. It's a turnaround because I knew of it coming, but you don't. If anybody doesn't know it coming, like, whoa, Marlene, what? Because you think of the history when she says, we have no other choice but to do this. It's going to cut out her brain. Like, the cordyceps come from the brain, and it's really sad. And then Joel's just like, take me to her now, and he goes. They take her down. The soldiers take him down. And you're like, why do you stop? What are you doing, dude? And he just goes off the rails, kills everybody, goes to the room the surgery room, kills the surgeon, and then the two women are just like, put a bandage on her, and he takes her out. And then Marlene's in the garage where he's gonna go escape. And he has a little talk. She's like, no, you just come looking for her. So he takes her out. I mean, because she's like, she wants to protect, she wants to cure. But then he lies to Ellie, and he's like, there's no cure, or there's plenty more, there's other people just like you. And they stop looking for a cure. The doctors stop looking for a cure. And then she's like, is this really what happened? Which I knew this was all going to play out later. And then you're walking up, and he has a little moment. I don't know if this is in the game, but he has a little moment where he's like, my daughter would have liked you. You're not really that girly. She was a little bit more girly. You're kind of different in these couple ways, but you're funny. I bet she would have liked you. And she's like, yeah, I bet I would have liked her too. That was a nice moment, and then the episode ends with, or then she tells him about the moment when Riley died, and he's like, that's not on you. Everything happens for a reason. Or you can just keep going with your life. Just keep pushing through. So this finale was a banger. I love the moment when he just goes off the rails and kills everybody. It was a sweet, tender. It was the music was so sweet, but there was a great action in that moment as well. I love this finale. I love this whole show. I definitely got to play the game now at some point, probably this summer. If I have a job, I'll try to do it at some point. This game is on my list to play. I haven't played video games in a while, but that's a story for another time. You probably heard me talk about video games for a while now, for why I have not played. But this show is worth watching. Is it better than House of the Dragon? I haven't seen the full Game of Thrones series, so I can't say yes or no. I mean, I don't want to say yeah. I want to say yes because I love video games and I love this show. But I cannot wait for season 2. For me, in my opinion, it's better than House of the Dragon. I'd have to see another season of House of the Dragon to probably compare. I don't know, but anyway. They're two totally different shows, so just let me know what you thought of the show down below. I loved it so much. I love the acting. It's great that they got the people from the video game to be in here. Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann, good job on doing this show, and I cannot wait to see more of it in the future if they're doing Game 2, because the episode Left Behind was actually, the flashback episode was actually part DLC, so it's really unique how they integrated that part of it. So maybe we'll see Game 2 in Season 2. I'm sure that's what they're going to do. So there you go. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to let me know what you thought of The Last of Us Season 1 in the comments below. If there's anything I missed from the first season, or from talking about from the first season, let me know in the comments below. I try to talk about as much as possible and as much as I wanted to talk about. I just love this show so much I could talk about it for hours, but I don't want to make this video too long, so don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow me at Boba Fidget and Master. Link is down below on Instagram. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me. Don't forget to keep calm, play, let go. Peace out. Bye, everyone.